watch Brandon Miller, as you have, I'm sure, the film that you've seen with Charlotte, what aspects of his skill set stand out to you, especially for rookie?
I think he's just dynamic. His size, length, ball skill, the ability to create his own shot, how he can get to the rim. And watching him now at a young age, he already knows how to absorb contact and kind of finish through size. That's typically something that, guys learn as they go on. But, his ability to find it in different ways, like he gets out in transition, he cuts, he finds his spot shots. He understands when to beat his man. So I think he's got a diverse game at a very young age.
Last night you called tonight's game a mental toughness test. What's that, I guess, mental hurdle that you're looking for your team to overcome tonight?
Just have some fun. Like, there's so much stuff that's, like game, travel, game. Like, there's just, we're at our best when we're having a good time and enjoying it, and trying to figure out, like, how we celebrate each other, how we lift each other up, and create that spirit. And I think that's, for me, is the biggest thing tonight is, like, let's go out and have some fun. Obviously, do the things that we need to do that make us a good basketball team, but let's just go enjoy doing it together.
Coach, speaking of players that have already adapted to this league, the G League Ignite is now being canceled for the next couple of seasons. And what have you seen the difference between the NBA game and NCAA game with that being involved?
I'm not sure if I understand the question completely, but I think with the NIL, I think before that the NBA had an advantage, and then once the NIL kind of got to where it is now, the NBA, kind of lost that advantage that it had in recruiting those kids to come and play for the, Ignite team. I still believe the opportunity, and I also think it's it's a little bit different now because of the COVID stuff. College kids are playing against older kids than they previously had before. So, before when you were in college, you were a one and done guy. You were playing against, maybe a 20-year-old or, but now that college, guys are 23 years old, 24 years old, still in college. So they get an opportunity to play against older kids. I'm sure at some point, that'll wear out. But I do think the experience of working with NBA coaches, running NBA sets, playing against other professionals was an advantage and, still can be an advantage. I think, I'm sure the league will figure something out because they always do. But I just think it's an opportunity for the league to become more creative and figure out a way. Even if it's in, my own personal thoughts, as it becomes like soccer, right? And you start to have academies and those types of things, and then you bring kids up through your academy and, help create pros that way. But I just think it's an opportunity for the league to take a step back and figure out what's next and how they can find advantages.
Obviously, a lot of different guys have different journeys to the NBA, and Sam Merrill's one who's had extraneous different things he's had to go through to get to where he is. What have you seen from his journey this season and how he's been able to grow in his role?
It's the perseverance, the courage that guys have to hear the word no and be able to bounce back because they believe that they can do it anyway. And that's not always easy, right? A lot of times when you're told no so many times, you just try to go in a different direction. But to have the courage to be cut, to be told no, and then still believe just speaks to the type of person that he is. And I think, he's continued to prove that he belongs and then he can help a successful team win games.
Thank you.
Daryl, how's Donovan's knee coming along here, and how cautious are you organizationally with it?
He's progressing. Again, obviously, the nose is something you throw on top of it, but he's progressing, and we're always going to take the same approach with our guys. We're never going to put them in positions where we can cause longer harm. So again, it's something that we monitor every day, and then again, as he progresses, it's what does tomorrow look like? Then he progresses again. What does that look like? So just trying to stack as many of those good days on top of each other as we can, so that way you don't have the in and outs and the back and forth that breed that inconsistency.
Coming out of the All-Star break, you were asked about the schedule and the travel and things like that. And to paraphrase you, you said nobody cares.
Right.
Now that you're really in the thick of it and you've got another block here coming up too, just how do you think the guys have responded to it? And then the second part of that is, how do you get maybe a little more consistency than what you've been able to have over the last 5-6 weeks?
It's difficult, but I still repeat, like nobody still gives a shit. So we just show up and we do what we need to do. And I think our guys have adapted to that, and they've given, their effort. They give what they have. Our guys compete. It hasn't always been perfect. I do think, you know what I mean, like, your NBA season is built for your team, and the healthiest teams typically end up being the most successful teams. I think we are extremely fortunate, and it says a lot about our group for us to be sitting in the position that we're still sitting in after all the things that we went through. And I think that's something that our guys should be proud of and hang their hat on. Like, things haven't been perfect for us. I think I saw somewhere like our starting lineup has played 44 minutes together since the break. Like, you weren't built for that, right? You were built to have your group and kind of play through and have your rotations and guys have their roles and those types of things. So for us to be sitting where we're sitting, having faced all the things that we faced, that's something that our guys should be proud of. For them to still compete and play together, that's something for them to still be proud of. It's not always perfect, right? You're going to take some whippings every now and then. It's the NBA. But it's an 82-game season. And at the end of the 82 games, like, you have to look back on the season as a whole, because all the teams have ups and downs, and it's a matter of how do you get out of those things. Timing kind of sucks a little bit for us, being in the back end of the year and so many guys, being out and those types of things. But, I believe we'll have enough time to get everybody back to catch a rhythm and then get to where we want to get to.
Jimmy,
how do you coax mental toughness out of guys while also maintaining their mental stamina?
Again, challenge, right? But that's where the best teams understand the most, is that you have to be mentally fit. That's tough. That's mental toughness. That's mental fitness. That's the ability to, figure out when things are extremely difficult, how do you succeed, and then do it again. And that's the thing that, it's player development. And that's the way we approach it, is like, we're trying to set the tone for our guys to face difficult things so that, when things get hard, they know the place that they can go to kind of get out of it. How do they do it together? To me, that's the most important thing, is like, one guy's going through a lull, where's the other guy there to support him and pick him up? And I think that's one of the things that we're still working and developing.
Real quick, you said some interesting things about the G League and the academy stuff. I'm just curious, where do you stand on letting high school guys in the league?
I've never been against it. I think guys have an opportunity in so many other sports and business and everywhere else. Like, if you're good enough to earn a living, like, I believe you should be good enough. You should be allowed to earn a living.
Coach, I know you mentioned how tonight's a mental toughness game. You want to have some fun, but both teams coming off kind of tough losses. What is tonight going to kind of come down to in terms of just skill, being on the court and facing?
I think for us it comes down to being who we are, and we have to be great defensively. That's what we've been able to hang our hat on, is to be able to get stops when we need to get stops. Offensively, when we share the game, we're really hard to guard, and I think, we've gotten to a point where we've been able to do that. So the ball movement for us and our defensive execution and limiting our mistakes, I think is where it's going to come down for us.
Spence.
Spencer Davis, Kansas Center. Kind of going off some of the questions about schedule. When you're entrenched in it, what are the things that you guys do off the court to kind of get your mind off of things? But you obviously have to stay locked in, but there's a balance there.
Yeah, it becomes, a point where it does consume you. And that's where you have to figure out, with the training staff, with your strength and conditioning staff, like, how you balance, how much stuff you do on the floor as opposed to how much stuff you do either through film or, those types of things where you're not using your legs as much as you can, but trying to stay engaged in the basketball aspect of it, because you can't turn it on and off. That's the difficult part about it, and that's where we're talking about the mental stamina and mental fitness, is because you do have to stay engaged and stay locked in. But, guys finding some time to themselves to be humans as well. So it's a tough balance, but it's just something that, as we consistently grow, we try to get better at.
Evan.
Damon right down with JB. With so few regular season games left, do you expect, or at least hope, that you can get Max, Dean, and Donovan just back out there to kind of shake off a little bit of the rust before the playoffs start?
Yeah, we're hopeful. I believe they will all be back in time to play some games, give the group an opportunity to play some games together. We got some tough road games coming up. I think they'll be great tests for us and just great opportunities for our guys to be back, be on the floor, get that feeling of playing in an adverse environment. those types of things. What we're focusing on now is health and habits, right? We need our guys, obviously, to take care of themselves, get healthy, but then we have to continue to focus on the habits that are going to make us successful.
And speaking of Max specifically, how is he doing?
He's doing good. He's doing good and heading in the right direction.
Last one, Tom.
Sorry I'm late.
Catch your breath.
Did you get to watch your nephew play?
I got to watch the first part of the game yesterday. It didn't turn out too well for us. Wasn't a great day for the Bickerstaffs yesterday.
Hey, just curious. Everybody's kind of talking about Zach Edey and whether what he correlates to down the road or what have you. There seems to be a place for that kind of big man in the college game, and currently not right in the NBA right now. Why is that?
If you're going to be that size, like, you have to be Embiid, Jokic's of the world, right? Where you can just dominate a basketball game, where you're going to be the primary threat on the offensive end of the floor. That's what I believe. Again, I've seen him some. I haven't seen him as much as obviously our scouts and things like that have. But if you're going to be a 5 who dominates the painted area and get twos, like, you have to be elite and dominate, and teams have to feel like we can give you the ball and you're going to be good enough, where we can score most possessions, or you can create a good shot for people on most possessions. And I think that's where you've seen, I don't want to call it the death of the big man, but like of that, pure post-up scoring 5.
I'm sorry, last one, Tim.
You don't have to.
You don't want
All right, I'll throw it up. Well, you've been talking throughout the session here about mental toughness and mental stamina, but you also mentioned a few moments ago about having fun. I don't think you can coach having fun. So how do you reinvigorate? How do you recharge guys?
You can, and it's messaging, and it's understanding the spirit of your group and how to push the right buttons to help them find that place. It's a matter of the relationships that you've built with guys over time. Like, one of the things that I learned from my dad is you're always coaching for the difficult times and the tough times. So, like, when guys are down, frustrated, the relationships that we as coaches, assistant coaches in particular, who spend, countless hours with guys behind the scenes, like, you have to be able to find that button that gets guys to react. So that's on us. That's part of our responsibility as coaches, is we do set the mood, right? If we come in and we're down and we're feeling sorry for ourselves, like, that's who they see. So in positions of leadership, you set the mood. So it's on us to set the mood, give our guys some joy, and help it carry over to the floor.